Hi guys, how you doing? I'm Krieg from Iron Up on Bleeding Hollow, and I wanted to initially say that despite all the flack that you may get from the community sometimes, I think we all appreciate the hard work that you put in to balancing it. My question specifically is about Warriors. Rage normalization has been a really contentious issue throughout the entire Cataclysm beta, and with that you've had Inner Rage. You recently changed that from a passive to a usable ability, and I was curious, what have your numbers said through the past weeks? Is that going to stay? Do you have more changes to come, or what's the outlook for it?
I missed the ability you said changed from a passive to an active?
Inner Rage.
Oh, right. Yeah, so I mean, we came up with the Inner Rage early on before we had completely normalized the rage to the extent we did, trying to solve the problem of the warrior that gets, more rage than you can possibly spend. A lot of warriors think that it may not be something they need. Interestingly enough, it looks like it might be a pretty cool decision for the protection warrior to decide when to turn Inner Rage on or off. If we get to the point where you just don't need it and we find that it's kind of a dead ability, then we'll do something else with it. But we want to make sure that's the case. We haven't seen a ton of raiding yet, or battlegrounds or really high-end stuff. Once we see players with crap loads of haste, it may change a little bit.
Thank you. Strong feeling we need it for now as a possible escape valve for I have too much rage, I can't spend it all. And once we're sure that won't happen anymore, then maybe we change it.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I have a question about the level 85 Warlock ability, Demon Soul. Right now it just feels like a trinket. I mean, a lot of the design which you guys are coming out with now is you're getting away from very passive, flat percentage damage increases and things like that. And that's what the ability seems like. I know there's not a lot of people at 85, we haven't really tried it out yet, but it seems like it's not really towards your design goal of having a fun, ability. So I was just wondering, why you felt that Warlocks needed an ability like that, and what the design intent of the ability would be.
I think a lot of the design intent for a lot of the new abilities, all the 3 new abilities, is try to have something that we didn't want to give a class another Frostbolt ability, basically, something you're using all the time. We want to make more niche kind of. This is rare situations where I'd use this ability because players already have a lot of keybinds that they already have, So with that ability, the design intent of it was Warlocks really don't have very much a burst, kind of I'm going to power up arcane power, and that was the design intent of it. I think the balance between the different the imp version versus the Fell Hunter and stuff might not be the numbers might not be there yet, but yeah, that would be the design intent of that ability. And it's very difficult to design abilities for some of the classes we have now, because what do you give Warlock? They pretty much almost have everything these days. Same with the Warrior, so that would be the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, I play evac on Lightbringer. I'm a rogue. I wanted to see, what are you guys doing with combat? Where's the future of that going? Because the damage right now is really, really low in live and on beta. Mutilate is way ahead. On an unrelated note, I wanted to thank you for the change you made from Hunger to Blood to Vendetta. That was amazing. But combat's extremely low. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen the meters. Premonition put out some tests on the beta, 85 and 80. Combat's just really low. Mutilate's tearing it apart. And Subtlety was viable the first week of 4.0. I think you guys noticed a bug to Honor Among Thieves again, and he fixed that real quickly. So, where's combat?
Combat could use some help right now. In fact, in the next beta build that's going out, there are a couple things that are particularly weak with combat. Their mastery stat right now is quite weak. That is being roughly quadrupled in power, which should make it a viable stat that compares with haste, expertise, other stats along those lines. Their passive damage, one of their passive specialization bonuses, is going up. The intent is very clearly to have combat right up there with Assassination. I'm glad you've been enjoying Assassination, but ultimately I think it's just a matter of numbers. The overall direction for the combat specialization is to have it be more about the macro level planning of syncing up your timers, managing Bandit's Guile in conjunction with trinkets and other abilities, kind of like the way the Arcane Mage plays out relative to other mage specs, where the Arcane Mage doesn't have necessarily a complex rotation, but it's about what you're doing in the bigger picture of things, managing your resources at any given time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Suzushiro from Big Crits, and I was gonna ask about the moose that you apparently promised us, GC, but apparently you just told WoW Insider that we can't handle the moose, so there goes that. But, so anyways, I was gonna ask a priest question. First off, I really love what you've done with the holy tree. That's just about flawless right now. But my actual question was about disc priests, specifically the Archangel Atonement spec that you've got where you can heal while smiting. I was mostly just wondering if you were happy with, I guess, the way that played right now and specifically like the numbers of it. Because like maybe I'm doing something wrong, but right now I'm like doing about the damage of a tank and about the healing, maybe a little more healing than a Shadow Priest. So, I mean, maybe that's where it should be. I know obviously it can't go too high, but yeah, I was just wondering if you liked how that was working right now, or if you wanted to do something with it in the future.
I would say like I like how it works on beta. On live, it's not on live. On currently, it's not that compelling because every healer still has way too much mana regen. So healing through smite is actually very low throughput. But on live, where most healers are trying to be efficient, it's actually, plays really well. And the goal with it was to try to do something different from the other healers we have by doing healing through damage. And I'm pretty happy how it turned out.
All right.
And tanks do respectable damage now, so if that's...
Yeah. All right, well, thank you. Keep up the good work.
All right. So I just say I love what you've done with the Hunter. However, when the Death Frost enchant first came out, I died a bit inside. We were seeing all these chance to proc on a melee attack or a spell. And I'm just wondering, are Hunters ever going to get a fun melee enchant, or are we going to be stuck with an upgraded version of an enchant that we've had since like patch 1.5?
So I have some bad news, unfortunately. For a while, you're going to be stuck. But one of the things that we're looking at going forward is sort of evaluating the scopes, because those are pretty boring right now, to be frank, and we want to make the scopes cool and interesting. So if you do get one of those proc enchants coming along the line, that's going to be where it comes into the game. And it will be just yours, nobody else can use it, and it'll be that cool thing.
Mongoose, right? We're going to get Mongoose, I hope, right?
No comment.
Mongoose scope.
Hey, I've also got another Hunter question. It's just from a technical standpoint. We seem to be the only range class in the game that has a minimum range. This seems to come into effect quite a bit in our raids.
It must be a bug.
Where everybody in the raid, ICC, the first couple of bosses, everybody in the raid stack up on the boss at the max hit, at the edge of the hitbox. Except the Hunters, you stand about 5 feet back and die.
If your raid liked you more, they'd save you.
Right. My question is just, mages, warlocks, priests, they're all ranged classes, but they can stand directly in front of you and repeatedly use what would be a ranged attack. Why have Hunters been singled out? Why are we not allowed to do the same thing with our bows or our guns? It makes no sense.
It's part of the overall flavor of the Hunter class, unfortunately, and just goes hand in hand with using ranged weapons. That said, I'm very sympathetic to the reality on fights like Lord Marigar and other bosses that have very large hitboxes, which works to the advantage of melee because it lets you spread out, but effectively it's subtracting from the viable range for Hunters. That issue in particular is something that we've discussed addressing because it is intended to make life easier for you, not harder. And life would be easier for you on Marigar if you were smaller. And that's just not how it's, ideally going to work.
Is there going to be any form of or is there supposed to be any form of a balance for the fact that that is a negative to the way our class plays, is that we must be at that range or our DPS goes to pretty much nothing once you get into melee? Is there going to be something that cancels that out and makes it us a slightly more viable ranged class than somebody who doesn't have that negative?
At the same time, you can shoot while moving, and a mage can't channel his spells while moving. So there's trade-offs, right? Or a rogue or a cat can't do anything when they have to run around the room, and you can. So there's different classes of different strengths in different situations.
Hunters also have like a lot of abilities to get out of melee range. Like that's why disengage was made as a jump away from your target kind of ability to get away from like the shadow priest standing on top of you. But pretty much any ranged class, if a melee is on top of you, you know, you're not doing your highest damage, right? So.
Hey guys, my question is about the Paladin. For a long time, you know, from vanilla to Wrath of the Lich King, we've had health mana bar. Then one day we come out of nowhere and holy crap, we've got combo points. So the holy power bar. I mean, I like it, but where did this all come from?
We decided mana feels good when it's the kind of thing that lasts for a long period of time, and then you kind of run out of it near the end, and then, you know, you have things like evocation or whatever that can give you a little bit of mana back, but otherwise, it's dependable over short periods of time, and eventually it goes away. And so originally, the Paladin was kind of designed to like, oh, the mana bar will constantly go down, and then it'll constantly get refilled again, and that just never felt right. So more or less in Lich King, the Paladin design kind of bent, well, they have no resource at all except for cooldowns. They just kind of have to manage whatever's coming off cooldown, and you're playing whack-a-mole, whatever's coming off, and you hit that. It worked okay, but I mean, honestly, we've gone, I think everyone in this room is pretty familiar with the problems we've had with that design. And we decided ultimately they needed a real resource. We wanted a resource that kind of had that build up and then hit really hard at the end feel. Holy Power is not as nearly a big a deal for the Paladin as combo points are for the Rogue. I mean, the Rogue can do nothing without that. The Paladin can ignore it a little bit and do okay. So it's a new feature. Don't get me wrong. We're going to have to iterate a lot before it feels right, but we're pretty excited about where it's going.
Yeah, without that, we can't, without having a meaningful resource decision, it's just that cooldown whack-a-mole, where one macro can play your character. We want there to be more to Paladin than that.
Yeah, like a lot of the class revamps we did, I mean, we look at the class and we say, you know, where's the gameplay? Like healers having limited mana, where's the gameplay worth you managing your healing spells? The hunter, like, you can pretty much get a black Sharpie and put it over your mana bar because you don't even think about it. So where's the gameplay there? And it's the same, that was the same design intent for Holy Power, for Paladins, is to give them some gameplay with their resource.
Thanks, guys.
Hi. I had a question about the spell Wild Mushrooms. Currently, if it does a lot of damage if you stack 3 right on top of each other, but it has a very narrow range of 3 yards, and also the targeting reticule makes it very imprecise, so you often don't get it stacked where you want to. Do you have any plans to make it more usable or possibly disincentivize stacking it?
I don't think players have really grasped like the usefulness of the spell yet. Like in some of my dungeon runs that I've done on beta, what some of our Feral Druid tanks do, for example, is after they've done the fight once or twice, they know where some of the ads are going to spawn. So what they do is they put a mushroom at all the spawn points, and when they spawn, you can cast a detonation while you're in feral form. So you cast detonate, and all the ads just come right towards you. So that's an example of like, I don't see a lot of players have really understood like that strategy for the spell yet. And the spell is kind of supposed to be, when all the mushrooms are stacked on top of each other, it's supposed to be like, yeah, like a lot of burst damage. You put them in front of the War Song Tunnel or something like that. But as for spreading them out, yeah, you're probably not going to do as optimal damage, I guess. So the gameplay is kind of, you're supposed to stack them up if you want to do really, really burst damage.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Right now, I have a warrior. I'm over like close to 390 days played, and I've been thinking that it would be a cool idea to actually eventually be able to have a quest line to change, let's say, a warrior into Death Knight, or let's go a paladin into something else. And is that something you guys have ever thought about?
So I get where you're going with that. The risk is that we don't want to give players either, you know, the ability